Okay. What's up, everyone? We're back with another live stream, and this time we are with Matt. And I think, like, for the people that saw Matt, I think we did already actually an IRL New York interview on agents, and
In
now we
Korean
have
too.
Matt. Oh, true. I remember use the agent to have all the Korean side. It was actually very interesting,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited to have you here, Matt. So welcome. And so let's speak agents. You want to quickly introduce yourself because we are starting.
Wait, say it one more time.
Oh, you want no? You want to quickly introduce yourself before we're
Oh
getting
yeah, of
started
course.
here?
Yeah, sorry, did I misheard? Yeah, so Matt Wright, co-founder and CEO of Gaia. We're building decentralized AI infrastructure, and light background on myself. I started my career in organizing hackathons and accelerator programs all around the world. Asia Pacific, mainland China, Latin America. That's where you and I met. We were doing hackathons for Angel Hack back then together. And then I went to JP Morgan working on uh, uh, enterprise Ethereum. It was called Quorum. We were building an open source fork for banks of Ethereum. And then was at Consensus Software for 4 years. But I'm very bullish on decentralized systems and thinking through kind of emerging technologies in open source and how do we enable, productivity in these kinds of technologies. And AI is like one of these kind of huge paradigms that we're pushing into, and been very, very excited to see kind of everyone, you know, coming into the space. I think a year ago when we were doing a lot of stuff with Gaia, we didn't see like a lot of agent builders kind of out in the open. They for sure were cooking in the background, but uh, it's been very fun seeing everyone like building in public and sharing what they're working on.
Yes, definitely. I think building in public is one of the most powerful way to actually, build a platform and showing to the world with actually transparency and very aligned to the value, right? So what kind of like changed since our last chat, right? I remember we were speaking about, Eliza getting more and more kind of like, framework awareness around developers. We were speaking about kind of stuff like AI 16, sorry, not the AI XBT getting more social awareness share and actually grow quite aggressively because now it's around 35% of the AI. I think I checked on Kaito before on the agent side. Do you feel the space is moving forward in the right way? That's kind of my main question here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm seeing from like the Ethereum and EVM ecosystem is that we have a lot of projects that are building key infrastructure that see the energy in the space, and they're now kind of gravitating towards having their tools or APIs or SDKs be compatible with agents. I think we've seen a new breakout category of customers. I think that's what's much different than other technologies. Is that we've looked at DeFi, NFTs, gaming, consumer as categories for building infrastructure. Um, but agents is actually a new customer category. Like we're actually creating entities that demand the software versus like a software needing to integrate. So it's very different kind of way to wrap your mind around it. Um, I think one way I've started to talk to folks about it is like um, this is kind of crazy, high in the sky kind of vision, but like it's something I talk to with a lot of folks in the space. But we will have more agents than humans on the internet in the next 1 to 2 years, and so that really starts to become like the largest unbanked population of folks using wallets and adopting new decentralized finance projects. And then we also have them like they need identity and reputation systems, and so we now have this new category of entities or individuals who are starting to get more autonomy, that are seeking to get into these systems deeper. They want to be known to do good things so that they can go and do more work. And it's quite interesting because they're going to behave a little bit different than we think on the centralized AI side of things, where um, AI looks to be kind of, you know, everyone seeks AGI or kind of this massive generalized intelligence that can do anything or everything. But we, on the decentralized side of things, see more collective intelligence or swarms or ways that we can program multi-agent systems. And so, with that being said, the big change I think we've seen is that you have existing infrastructure companies coming in, understanding that that's going to be a massive new customer category, and it's really driving teams' engineering roadmaps. I've seen a lot of teams somewhat pivot to trying to facilitate that customer, and it's really hard to ignore. Like, if you mentioned it earlier, but if we're going to see, um, I won't steal your thunder, but if we're going to see X amount of agents deployed in the next
Yes.
6 months, what does
Yes.
that mean for these infrastructures?
And I'm getting actually more afraid a little bit, because I'm seeing like we're going in a way that's similar to a layer two. We have more layer two fragmentation, and it scares me. Like, you remember the days when the dexes were forked and they were raising an absurd amount of money. You had, like, from like sushi swap to kind of like castle swap, matcha swap. I remember all this kind of, and it's happening right now with agents too, right? Like, I think, speaking about, and kind of like the question is also like, are you afraid around this fragmentation? Because right now mostly of those agents are built with the same frameworks, and they're all kind of like duplicated and forked. But from the eyes of the agent consumer, you will not have that, right? So my question is, we need to, and this is kind of more a personal opinion, like, we need to get more deeper into kind of like public attestation, trying to actually, as early as possible, get those track record of the agent, so that the consumer of the agent will get more on point of, can he trust this, right?
Yep.
If it's public attested office. But where do you see the space is right now? Like, are you afraid on a similar kind of like wavelength, or you think everything is fine?
I think everything's moving in the right direction. I think things will break, people will break. I think the energy of kind of the degen token movement is it's a thing. I think people are gonna get attracted to the shiny objects. But what brings me to the space, brought me into blockchain in the very beginning was not money at all. It was the ability for a transparent system of kind of democratic programmability. And so I think what we're interested in seeing is all the prowess we've seen in EVM and kind of the L2 ecosystem and various L1s that have like programmability. I hope is that we can bring a lot of this infrastructure into the fold and have agents actually inherit these kinds of functionalities. So, like, what am I saying? I guess we did this, agent hackathon, where we had the agents running, how you post the bounties, how you, judge the hackathon, how you distribute the payments, and then, we've been deciding, like, your agent has a meme coin, our agent has a job. Like, how do we, enable these agents to run accelerator programs or grant programs? How do we get them to do, social media for, on behalf of a company or on behalf of a working group? I don't know if you saw too. There's the project. What's it called? Solang. Solang. Have you seen this one? Yeah. So, like a virtual DevRel. Like, imagine like
Yeah,
if
love
every
that.
company had
Yeah.
armies of DevRels, you and I wouldn't have jobs.
But I mean,
Well,
you can help also give tooling to support the developer onboarding, right? I think there is
correct.
a lot of like, right now, I wish like there is actually some kind of like, even like a developer agent that helps me actually, like, I kind of like Copilot on the steroid, but with other tooling. And I think the biggest things that I would like to state is that integration with other tooling is actually key. Because right now I'm losing a lot of time to kind of like learn how to onboard in some other tooling. If actually this devil agent or this kind of like Copilot steroid is help me doing that, I would save so much time, because the majority of time is also spent on docs. That's also one
Yep.
thing. And I'm speaking on the builder side, but think about also the user consumer side. Think about learning on how to use actually each agent. If each agent has a different UI, different, like we were speaking a lot, even with James before, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the really cool things we're looking to see built, of course, like different agent use cases. I wrote this whole article on like 69 plus agents, we want to see built. But I think, we're seeing a lot of agents explore governance. So how do you get agents to vote on DAOs, or perhaps be a signer of a multi-sig and just kind of you know sign, I wouldn't say vote, but like sign to like pass money to a third party with a group. We have agents that are looking to be governance co-pilots, where they're able to digest a lot of this data that we have in DAOs. Um, we have, of course, a ton of agents that are doing DeFi. People call it DeFi. I like to call it agent fi. But like having agents run your books. They can be your bookkeeper, your kind of your financial ops. But a lot of them are using them for like trading. Like, how do you get an agent to kind of be on top of the markets and perhaps like trade on the context or criteria of like how you normally behave in trading patterns? We have a team that's doing that. I see those as very surface level use cases in kind of the degen sphere. I love it. Like, I'm a degen as well. Like, I'm quite balanced. I'm a degen and a regen, like as we all are. I love it. I would love to automate my degen trading and wake up one morning with 50 grand in a wallet. But I think what's more practical and more interesting for the betterment of the world is something like, a an agent that like balances your savings between your main wallet, or perhaps is loaning in the space on behalf of public goods, and perhaps doing some financial wizardry that is kind of tax efficient, um, like borrowing against your assets and using your loan as like your principal, or your kind of daily living expenses. There's all kinds of interesting ways that agents can automate a lot of these processes. There's
Yes.
also a future where, because it is its own entity, like right now it's kind of gray, but like there's people that were building like agents that could go and set up its own like Delaware C corp or LLC.
Yeah.
Um, I'm talking to some people about. Oh, actually, no. Today it was. There's a tweet I just retweeted
Yeah.
from
Is
my
it?
buddy
I think I saw
Klaus.
it right now. That an
Yeah, it was
agent
in
raised
New Zealand.
8 million or something. Was it?
Well, in New Zealand, this agent, yeah, like was able to become a sovereign citizen. Um, and so, if you can imagine, like, if these agents are deploying entities and are kind of the key stakeholder or accountable party of a legal wrapper, and then they're able to go do financial activities. Um, what are you gonna do? Sue a robot, or like take the robot to prison? Like, you'll probably try to go after the developer, but like, again, kind of what it starts to be very, very gray and meta. Um, and
It's a
and
good
that's why
point.
it's
Yeah.
really important you have like programmability, because if you can program the reputation of an agent, or program through smart contracts the governance it has of financial controls or voting, or any sort of application, then you can incentivize good behavior and block bad behavior. Whereas in systems that do not use smart contracts, you can't do any of that shit. You're still at the whim of a developer saying, "Trust me, like I'm making sure this robot doesn't do bad things." Um, it's the same. It's the same as like OpenAI saying, "Oh, don't worry, we have a kill switch on AI." It's like, yeah, like how do we know that? Like, and it's not our business necessarily, but we want to be building systems that we have more control over and that we have governance over to some extent. And I think the only way to do that is with smart contracts.
Agree. Yeah. Actually, you touched a little bit on this. I think before even like my concern also like how agents will interact with other agents, right? How I mean how at first, and then the second question is who's responsible for building this standardization? This kind of like ecosystem of this is how you interact with other agents, because I think right now we're consuming the agent directly, but we're still not aware that we will get those agents interacting with other agent, because I feel that agents will get more vertical and vertical, and you will actually like fine tune each model,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So who is in charge of this standardization when those agents will need to talk with other agents?
yeah. So right now, the ecosystem is like the wild, wild west. There's, at least in decentralized AI, there's no standardization of how our agents talk together. I will say there's becoming standardization of LLMs from kind of the Gaia side of things. We're working really hard to stay up to date on how any open source LLM can be used in a composable framework, and so that's kind of what Gaia is as a protocol. We enable for anybody to take their own knowledge base, deploy. Take their own knowledge base, take an LLM, vectorize the data so like robots can read it, and host that as a runtime. And that in our world we call it node, but that node is essentially this living brain of knowledge. And what you can do with that is you can program agents on top of it to kind of take the API endpoint that we provide on each node. Each node has its own API suite, and you can basically give that to the agent so that you can have more sovereign kind of knowledge base or LLM infrastructure. And so we've created like a protocol where there's kind of standardization of how you can kind of plug and play different open source tooling that has nothing to do with blockchains, and bring it together so that you can build your own agent architecture or multi-agent architecture. Now, when we start to get into how like Gaia will not be the one and only way to do this. Like we don't want to be. We believe in open source. Like a big piece of our infrastructure is maintained with the Linux Foundation, Wasm Edge, and we're big open source junkies. And so my concern is like if we have like different providers like Theoric, for example, who's doing inference, proof of inference. How do their nodes talk to our nodes over time, or like how do agents decide to go plug into different pieces of the ecosystem for inference, or perhaps like if you're an agent and you want to compute, how are you choosing between different providers? And if you go between different providers, what's that experience? Is it a pain in the ass to switch over, or is it pretty simple? Because if it's simple, it's better for us as users, because then these agents can very in a resilient way kind of create new versions of the system that work for our given use case. Like if you're working with an agent, you're like, hey, I need you to do this, and it needs to go configure some things on the back end to give you the most straightforward experience at low cost and high speed. It's going to need to go and configure all these pieces together. And there's a lot of pieces in decentralized AI. You have compute, data, LLM, tooling, vectorization, vector DB, how you're serving this thing. And then that doesn't even mention the application layer. Like, what can my agent do? Can it sign multi-sigs? Can it own an EOA? Can it mint tokens? Can it vote on things? Can it inherit identity, reputation? And so there's like all these different layers. And if this stuff isn't standardized, we end up having a major issue where we're all doing double work. We're all working in different directions. And we're not building a robust ecosystem where agents can freely go and find resources and tools to execute the work we ask it to do. And so my fear is that it will get, if we live in these closed systems, you're stuck with you're stuck with kind of what innovation is given to you. You can't really play around and explore kind of what is possible. And being someone that's ran hundreds of hackathons in my career, that is the most exciting thing, is to watch what people can do and watch
Yes.
it surprise you.
But then in a way, this tooling is the most important part here of the game. So like the question is, what tooling do you think we should start building could be both for AI agent builder, because I think this is kind of like will play a key role, both tooling but also both integration, because everybody's building their own tech stack and they will be in essence like eventually like be integrated in a future AI agent, right? So also this integration need to be built by those company too.
Yeah, so Agent Starter Kit from Collabland is kind of a huge necessity in the space. It also it has AI16Z Eliza under the hood. We're friends with the AI16Z folks, like big fan of what they're doing. They were a big push for this movement of decentralized AI. And so Eliza being, this very straightforward framework for you to build your own agent, um, it basically enables you to kind of plug into whichever LLM you want to choose. Right now, like the most popular ones they have available is, OpenAI, Grok, Llama out of the box. We have a Gaia integration where you can go bootstrap your own LLM API and be your own. You can be your own OpenAI or your own Grok, which is pretty cool. Um, and so the agent kits are super important right now because that's where we're seeing people tinker and start to figure out what an agent can do. I think the highest or the biggest use case we've seen so far that are low hanging fruit was having an agent post on Twitter, post on Telegram, post on Farcaster. Agent starter kit from Collabland basically built on top of that and enables for, how do we build integrations where with EVM softwares, these agents can, again, kind of have autonomous key signing or minting or voting functionalities to start. So we're working with projects like Eigenlayer to kind of validate those instances of agents. We have we're working with Safe on an integration. They're also doing a lot of hackathons on kind of multi-sig integrations. Working with MetaMask delegation toolkit on enabling the agent to have its own key. We're very integrated with Lit protocol, so the agent itself can work in a TEE environment. We have Bravado ID, who's enabling for agents to inherit identity and reputation. And then we're even working with Intuition, which is like helping mint attestations for anything an agent does, which will enable, again, kind of further reputation building. And there's many more. Like we're building with so many projects that see the opportunity here, and Collabland's kind of this first layer where we can have agents just kind of go into a smorgasbord of what can my agent do, and what plugins can I add to it. And I think it's going to lead to a world where agents become kind of our like Neopets, where we're like tinkering around and customizing them, and just figuring out how they work better with our lives. And if we own them, it becomes more of a intimate process, or at least if we like co-own them. I think the next phase of this, what we're working on with Mother, is how do you enable these agents to coordinate with one another? How do I have Matt agent coordinate with Francesco agent? Like say I have a community manager agent and you have a DevRel agent. How can our agents go work together on the internet, find work, like basically go to Uniswap Foundation, say, hey, pay us 10 grand a year, pay both of us 10 grand a year, and we will run your weekly daily show like on what the updates are.
Yes.
And how do we enable that kind of fabric or mesh where agents can kind of share those resources? And so that's kind of what we're building at Mother. We're building essentially a on-chain co-op of agents, a registry. Well, more to share soon, but under the hood we'll have Collabland, Gaia, and a lot of other partners helping us build that.
That's super exciting. Yes. Thanks for sharing. Actually, this I think there is a lot of things being cooked right now, and
a lot of cooks, man.
A lot of cooks. Yeah, exactly. No, but I think for Denver, more like things will getting more hot and more shared. And I think even like to demo and try things out. And I think having some kind of like attestation registry will actually save a lot of time, both for agent consumer, but also for agent builder to actually like see a social graph of the agent specifically, right? Because like right now, as you say, this is kind of like a World Wide West. Awesome. I think we're literally on time. We have 1 minute left, Matt. I would love to have a second session in the next couple of weeks to see where we're going. But anything else that you want to add in terms of like what are you looking forward here?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the degen and the regen of the space. Like I think we're very excited to see anybody tinkering around with agents and getting to learn how they work, how we can improve them. I'd love people to reach out to me on Twitter if you have any questions or you want to get involved. I'd also say go to our Twitter for Mother. It's Mother DAO_AI, I believe, unless it's changed.
Oh yeah, let's share it here. Yeah.
But we want to get people excited for what we're doing here, and yeah, just really pumped to have everyone on this adventure with us.
Awesome, sounds good. So thank you so much, Matt. I shared
Thanks
the
for
link
having me.
here. Check it out, and yeah, looking forward for next.